If you've been with us for the last few Sunday mornings, you know I've been talking about being salt and light. And we've said that salt always makes a difference. And we've said that a little bit of righteousness goes a long ways. And the bottom line is that your presence always makes a difference. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, yeah, well, that's easy for you to say because you're a pastor and you hang out with Christian people and you sit around with the elders and hold hands and sing kumbaya. And so what do you know about what it is to be salt and light in my workplace? You know, if I'm salt and light like you're talking about, Todd, I could lose my credibility, I could lose my influence, I could lose my job. So I thought it would be helpful to spend some time with some people who've thought the same thing. And since I know you're kind of thinking that, I thought we'd go visit some people that are sitting near you right now and visit them in their workplace and talk about how they found it to be, being salt and light in the workplace. So come with me. All right, we're on our way up to see Tim McCall. He's the pharmacy director here at Maine Coast Hospital, and so we're going to go see if he's around. You've talked to me about praying for your colleagues and your coworkers.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point? How did they even know that you're a Christ follower and that they might share their life with you on that level?
Well, I think it's I surround myself with opportunities to kind of open that conversation, whether it's things on the wall or my tattoo or just, I hope the way I walk presents that opportunity. But, I usually don't go, right into a meeting with somebody and be like, hey, I'm a Christian, and
right.
Can I pray for you?
Right. Well, what are the risks involved with that for you?
I think there's always the risk of rejection.
Yeah.
But, and the workplace I'm in has never squelched any of that for me.
Okay, nice.
When I came here, my boss was very open to it. The current boss I have has actually asked me to pray for people.
Yeah.
So she knows where I stand and is open to, offering that up. I think for me, it's taking those small opportunities to, if I'm in a discussion with somebody about something that's going on, I'll say, I'll be praying for you. Or I take the opportunity to invite people to church.
There you go.
Or I talk to them about things that we're doing at church.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or, activities that I engage in outside of work, whether it be mission trips or anything else, that are going to lead down that path of opportunities to share my faith. Because
that's just you telling about your life without them feeling like that you're trying to convert them.
Right.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge for you for sharing your faith in the workplace?
Biggest challenge for me, I think the biggest challenge is staying focused on God while I'm here and not getting caught up in the day-to-day and remembering the reason that I'm here is, I think He has me here for a reason, brought me here for a reason, and that's to share my faith. But to balance that is sometimes tough, especially in a leadership role.
Yes. Without
being overtly pushy about it.
Yep.
And but still being true to my faith with it.
There you go. We're going to go in and talk with Dan and Nate Haslam. Come on. So here we are we're at Mainly Audio, and this is where you get to hang out all week. This is where you get to be salt and light. This is your environment. So when you're salt and light here at work, what does that look like for you?
I think the biggest thing I think of is honesty and integrity that I built the business on 13 years ago.
Okay, let me ask you, how do you think people even know that you're a Christ follower? I'm talking about people who you interact with here in the workplace, either customers, and I know you guys have repeat customers, or like dealers that you work with. How do those people even know that you are a Christ follower? What do you think?
I think probably just the way I carry myself, the way I interact with them, and try to help them out as much as possible.
Okay. Okay. This one. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to really sharing your faith in your workplace? Because you guys get to set the rules. You own the business, so you get to set the rules. So you don't have to worry about corporate. So what is the biggest challenge for you?
I don't see any really big challenge.
Okay.
Because I'm free to do what I want to do. But I'm also free enough to do that I don't want to blow somebody totally away.
Okay.
I'm not being obnoxious
That's what I was gonna
about
say.
my faith.
Yeah. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
That's what I was going to say. Just, I don't want to be overwhelming to people that I could possibly lose that relationship that I have with them.
Okay. I think for a lot of us, that's our concern. All right, well, next up, we're going to pull in here and talk with Akela Smith for a couple minutes about what it's like to be salt and light in her workplace. So this is where you spend your days. This is your everyday environment.
Yeah.
So this is where you get to be salt and light. So how does that work for you in this environment? What does that look like?
Having a good attitude. Or
Okay.
attempting to.
Okay.
Even in the most stressful situations, it's best to try, but I don't always succeed. It's just that for me is my way of being light. And I want to be the person that can bring your day up.
Okay.
And so if there's a reason they want to know why I'm feeling this way or why I'm always happy
Okay.
or
Have you ever had that conversation? Has anybody ever said, why are you,
no.
Okay, all right. Just
So
curious.
apparently I'm failing miserably.
No, because a lot of people aren't going to put those things
But I
together.
have had people, we've had the conversation about faith and whatnot. In fact, when my coworker started working here, I asked her if she minded listening to Akela, and it was an instant,
Okay.
conversation starter.
There you
So, I don't come right out but they all know I'm a Christian, and they all know that, I do my best.
Okay. What is the most challenging part of being salt and light in your workplace for you?
Stress.
Okay.
The stress can rob some of that for me because I tend to let it take over. And I try, but I don't always handle stress the way I should.
Well, do you think that could also be an opportunity to show people that, yes,
Yes.
I'm a follower of Christ, but I'm a flawed human being just like anybody else too.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, it all piles on, and
And this is how we handle it. Sometimes it's not so great,
Okay.
but
okay. I think that kind of honesty and transparency goes a long ways, right?
yes, yeah.
Well, we're here at Home Depot, and I'm going to go in and see if we can find Tim. In fact, I think he's just getting here to work, so let's catch him out here in the parking lot. When you're salt and light in your workplace, what's that look like for you?
I think just sometimes people watch what they say around me and they say, oh, you're a religious person, which I hate.
Right. How do they know that you're a religious person?
I mean, they know I go to church. They know I don't come in on Sunday mornings because I go to church. But
Okay.
I'm there in the afternoon. So sometimes they're surprised when I see them on Sunday. Oh, you don't work Sundays? Yes, I do. Just go to church. And I mean, yeah, talk about it. What do you do? What are you doing this and doing that?
So as you're talking about life, it just comes up in the conversation.
Yeah, because it is part of my life.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Next person I want to go talk with is Bill Snow. Bill is an electrician, owns his own business called Livewire, and so we're going to just stop by and have a talk with Bill real quick. From what I know of your story, I think it seems like you've always been a guy that people would say has character, operates from integrity, is an honest, hardworking person. How has that changed in the last few years since you've really gotten serious about following Christ?
I'm not the first person to come out and say that especially in my business.
Right.
I'm in construction site,
Right.
and you can't just come out and say, well, geez, I'm a Christ follower, and how about you,
Right.
because then you get those funny looks.
Right.
For me, I think I'm more of the let my actions speak louder than my words.
Absolutely.
And I think since I've come back to Christ, I think that has developed more.
Sure.
I've had people even comment on it.
Well, there you
know.
go. Yeah. And so What kind of response do you give them when they comment on that?
Well, I just had a lady the other day tell me the job hasn't been going all that well, and she told me the other day that I was her ray of sunshine in the whole process.
Okay.
And she actually come out and asked me, do you go to church, or are you a Christian? And I actually said, yes, I am.
Wow, that's awesome.
And she wasn't surprised.
Okay.
And
okay.
I don't know how much of a church-going person she really is.
Sure.
So.
Well, I was kind of follow up with you and ask you, how do you get to the point where you can communicate to somebody that you are a follower of Jesus? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
very difficult at times.
Yeah.
Just to even get your foot in the door, so to say.
Sure.
Once you get your foot in the door, then it's a little easier. But like I said, I'm a little difficult that way as far as drawing it out of me.
Sure.
Because you never know.
Right.
I don't want to offend someone. Not that,
right.
I have a problem with that, but.
Right. Well, you don't want to make things awkward moving forward.
Right.
What kinds of experiences or actions, or maybe it's an attitude from you, do you think trigger those opportunities for you to then go beyond living your faith and actually talking about your faith?
Boy, that is a good question. Once in a while, you do pull into a job site where, the guys are saying how they just spent the entire weekend,
doing whatever.
Doing whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll go, so how was your weekend? Yeah. And you just kind of go, oh, it was all right. I did this on Saturday, but then I went to church on Sunday, and they kind of all stop and look at you like, oh. And then they're all thinking, oh, what did I say that may have offended him?
I know. Isn't it funny how they're always concerned about that?
Now it's like, oh yeah, I go to church,
right.
and most guys these days don't have a
they respect that.
Right, they do. They really do respect you.
Well, I think when they see the consistency in your life,
well, that's it.
If they can put those pieces, connect those dots, put it all together,
right.
like, oh, I've seen the way you conduct yourself. So you really are a Christian. You're not just a church-going guy,
right?
But you're really trying to be a Christian,
right?
All right. Well, we're at Walmart, and as I was see if we can find anybody in here that we know. Chances are we're going to run into someone that we recognize. And I'm kind of hoping we can find Chris Staples and Garth Winslow somewhere over by the produce department. So let's go see if we have any luck with that. So Chris, before you really kind of got serious about your Christian faith a few years ago, I'm guessing probably you already lived by a lot of the same values that you live by today, the way you treated people in the workplace, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And okay,
correct.
So you're a guy of integrity, and you treat people fairly, and you're honest. So if that was true before you really got serious about walking your faith every day, and it's true of you now, how has the motivation changed behind that?
Before, I felt that when you treated people good, they would treat you good.
Okay.
And primarily it was based to, I felt it would be paid back to me by the people. Now I feel like I'm paying it forward to the Lord. I feel like my purpose to honor the Lord in what I'm doing.
So for you, what are the biggest obstacles to sharing your faith in the workplace?
I think you find a lot of corporately, it's hard to be able to express your faith corporately. I do talk about it here, but I try to make sure it's not around management.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think they would say anything, but you have to be careful because everything's so PC now.
So we all know there's a risk involved in taking that to the next level from living out my faith by the way that I treat people to actually having a conversation. How have you ever maybe acted on that, like taking that risk, brought your faith into the conversation, and it's turned out to be a good thing in the workplace?
It's weird, I do it almost every day here in the back room with all my associates. We can all have really awesome conversations about God, and even if they don't share the same faith that I do, I have a couple associates that don't, but we talk about it all the time.
Nice. And that, you don't find that, was it awkward at first?
Maybe a little bit,
Okay.
but not so much now. I mean, I always kind of try to ask a couple questions, to make sure that they're not going to be offended if we talk about it or.
Sure.
but-
Because do they answer to you in the department?
Yes.
Yeah. So I know that's always.
Right, yeah, it all goes
That's
back to
tricky,
what Chris
right?
was saying. Yeah, definitely.
So.
But in doing so, I've gotten a couple people to actually start coming to church. So.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Because this isn't always about having a conversation in the workplace where somebody seals the deal, where they cross a line of faith and become a Christ follower there in the produce department. And that's fine. We're okay with that.
No, definitely.
But sometimes it's about getting them to have the next conversation, or getting them to come, check out what this church thing is all about and why it means so much to you guys. Yeah. So, anything else you guys want to add?
No, I would ask people to make sure they try to step forward as much as they can. It's through people talking to Garth about completely unrelated topics about childcare. That's a major reason why Garth started coming to church. So it's just, plant the seeds. You'd be amazed at what will grow.
So the next person I want to introduce you to is Chad. Chad's the owner here at Right Way Auto, and so let's go in and chat with him for a minute. So this is where you get to spend your days. This is where you get to be salt and light.
Correct.
How does that work for you? What's that look like for you in this environment?
I have a little bit of a unique environment because most of the my fellow workers here are Christians, actually. So it's a little unique in that it's more of a dynamic of building each other up, encouraging each other,
That's cool.
which is nice.
Cool.
But we also certainly do have opportunities to try to influence unsaved people as well.
Yeah, like you have customers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you connect the dots for your customers, but between you and your staff? Well, I guess I better just ask you.
Right.
You being a moral guy with integrity, and they can trust you, to having a faith component to that. How do you help them connect those dots?
I think that is a challenge. We certainly try to have high character, high integrity, try to be transparent, which historically in the car business has not always been been one of its hallmarks. So we are trying to have a little bit of a different atmosphere in that way. But it is a challenge, I think, to then make that next leap and have it associated with my faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that's easier to do with repeat customers?
Yeah, absolutely. A repeat customer, you can build rapport.
Yeah.
You can get to know. There is certainly that.
I think a lot of people are in their work environments. A lot of Christians are looking for ways to leverage their influence and leverage their environment to introduce their faith into that. So, based on what you've learned or are learning, what would you say to them?
Well, I think, just speaking from my experience, I think the challenge sometimes is translating it from living a good lifestyle, where you might say, well, my lifestyle is my witness, and I think that is good to a certain degree, but at some point, you need to take the leap and have that conversation with them, not just your lifestyle.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's the part that is difficult for a lot of people.
That's the challenge for all of us, I think. Overall, what would you say is the biggest obstacle to sharing your faith in the workplace?
I think for me, it's probably just having not having the boldness to do it, being maybe a little more timid, or being afraid of making a relationship awkward with somebody that you have to spend every day with.
Right.
And so it's just really, I guess, risking that.
Absolutely. We're at the RSU 24 offices, and we're going to go in and talk with Sue Layton. Sue is one of the administrators in special ed, and so we're going to go in and see if she's at our office. So we've been talking about being salt and light in the workplace. So this is your environment, and
Yes.
I'm wondering how that looks for you, how that works for you. What's you being salt and light in your work environment, what's it look like?
That's a tough one most of the time. It's, as you know, this is public school, and it's pretty clear what's allowed and what's not allowed, and what the consequences are for that. So, for me, it's I try to use that analogy of salt. That salt, it changes things, and sometimes you don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of where I come from with it. I try to. Just by my interactions and relationships with people, I try to portray what I think is what should be, by letting people know that I care about them, not just professionally, but as people, and taking the time to say, hey, how's your grandson? Hey,
Oh, that's good. Well, that's a really good point. Is to really listen to what and for most part, for you, it's your coworkers and your colleagues that you're interacting with, right?
Yeah.
So
and parents.
And parents, that's right. So to really listen to what's going on in their lives, because hey, we can talk about our lives.
Right.
It's just funny that you're not talking about this one area of your life. You ever had an opportunity to offer to pray for somebody in those kinds of conversations?
I actually have. I've had, there are a few people that I work with that, I've mentioned, something about church, or, the kids, lessons or things like that. And so they've sort of picked up on that and have said, you're not just in my thoughts, I'm praying for you too.
Yeah. What kind of response do you get from that?
Surprised a little, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Sort of like, I'm surprised you said that.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of a thing, more than surprised that I would. Kind of a thing. And it's really, and actually this week we had a staff member that has some pretty significant health things going on, and has got a lot in front of her, and I said, I will be praying for you, and and she said, oh, good. So, it's kind of risky to do that, but I really felt like she needed to hear that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, well, it's funny, in certain situations in life, all those, the boundaries that we have in the workplace kind of go away because things find their right place, What would you say to someone who they're in a work environment, they're trying to figure out, how can I be salt and light in my work environment? How would you encourage them?
I think it's mostly about being who you're meant to be, and really being able to connect with people on different levels, and being able to let them see Jesus through you.
Yeah.
That you, I think about salt a lot.
Okay.
Because, salt changes things. Salt is a little gritty, and sometimes I think we need to be a little gritty.
Absolutely.
I think when the time is right, letting people know who you are, spiritually, and what your faith is, and that kind of thing. And I think, knowing that sometimes it's, it's what you're supposed to do, is to take that risk, and to, be able to use those times. And it's taken me a long time to get there. It's not something I think that just, it's something that really develops over time, and that, but to be aware of it, and make it something that, is a conscious effort, that, okay, this is the time. This is what.
That's good.